Everybody, I thought this was America. Hello, everybody. Oh, there we are. We're live. Let's see. Looks like we're moving around. We have to repeat episode 39 because we had technical issues yesterday. It would be the first episode that I was not able to make. Well, I guess I did it for about 20 minutes. But so I guess we could open up with today is January 30th, 2024. It is 8 p.m. Welcome to the Conformity Farm stream. And I don't want to complain about things, but I give you some sort of insight. Talking isn't an issue, right? Like I could talk. Well, no, talking is an issue. But the issue isn't the talking. The issue is that a few episodes back, I was drawing what would be considered, in a very simple name, an owl god, the owl god. And when I do those drawings in this particular series, I do them with a lot of detail. And I did it over the weekend, and I wanted to have it done over the weekend, and I actually got it done. But in the process of that, I think that I exhausted, there's like I don't know what the term is, like repetitive muscle movement, something or other. But I caused an exhaustion in my arm. And so last weekend, the last 2 weekends, I've taken off to rest the muscle, so that I could draw. And it's definitely subsided, but it's been pretty rough. And so yesterday I was drawing and the computer crashed and I was having a pretty bad pain in my arm. So I decided to call it, not because I don't want to do the work. I definitely want to do the work. Listen, I am totally behind that whole concept of like just push through it, or whatever. I'm not avoiding it because I'm soft or anything like that. I'm avoiding it because I think that technically, if I allow it to recover, then I could have more time of a healthy arm drawing. And if I draw on it, I could potentially cause it to get worse. Therefore, I would have less time that I could draw on it. So it's not a lethargic thing. I have a pretty tight deadline on this book. And I would like to get it done in that time frame. I basically have only 2 more months to do I don't know, what seems to be around 300 pages. And so there are going to be some 12, 16-hour days where, I'm going to have to run a lot and try to limit my calorie intake, make sure I don't take too much sugar as I sip on my Rockstar energy drink. To do that because I will be sitting down. Now, here's another thing. Let's start drawing. So today's drawing is my dedication page. The book is going to be dedicated to my late friend Bertram, Eric McCloskey. The boy was a saint. He's no longer with us. And I can't think of anybody who is a bigger Conformity Farm fan. I was about to be like, except for no. He was a very strong supporter, contributed musically to Conformity Farm, and so when you very first open up the book, this is going to be one of the first pieces of artwork that you see. And because it's not part of the story, it kind of got pushed back with this. I don't even know how long this drawing took. Not very long. So it'd be good to get in here and get some detail going on because this is a particularly important drawing. So anyway, let's see. What do we talk about? Well, I will say I've been pretty disappointed in what happened with the Lions in the NFC Championship. Now, having said that, there's no reason to believe that the Lions can't be competitive next year and they can't end up in the same position they were in this year. They seem to have a good enough team. The quarterback's young enough. The whole team seems to be. It's not like they have any some running back, incredible running back like a Jerome Bettis or something like that who, without him, you don't know what the team's going to look like. So we have the tools that we need. So they should be competitive. So that's exciting. And also you got to give them credit for getting farther than I think they've ever been. I don't think that the Lions, since they've had Super Bowls, have ever gotten this far. I don't think so. So it was definitely a new landmark. It makes I don't know who the owner is. It's some lady. It's one of the Fords. Um, oh yeah, this definitely didn't get saved. So last night the computer crashed, and I don't know exactly what the crash was about in particular. It's kind of a bummer. But also, another thing came up, which was that I thought that the muscle strain came from me working really hard, and I'm sure it didn't help. But it actually, I think, is the position of the tablet. So I'm going to have to come up with some clever ways to set the tablet up. As Mark would say, it's got to be more ergonomical. Mark is actually the silent partner of Conformity Farm. Mark contributes a lot to Conformity Farm. He definitely influences the content. He's been friends with him since high school, and he knows the Conformity Farm style of humor, which is actually a style of humor that we came up with in high school. And it's interesting because when I'm a big fan of comedy. When you listen to comedians talk about what if I put a link on Instagram? That might be fun. Why don't we do that? Put a link on Instagram. Maybe people will find us that way. I've never I've never flipped off the camera before. I've never done that. I honestly don't have much of a desire to do that. So let's do this. Ooh. What if I can cover this up? Can I? Is it possible? Maybe it's the color. The colors of the wind. Ooh. We would say, how about... Oh, I could probably find the exact link, right? Oh, you know what? I might have to find it on the YouTubes. Gotta find it on the YouTubes. I think I'm going to take down the last stream. So it's interesting. I actually met a fellow that I knew of. I had met him before, but didn't really engage him too much. He's a stand-up comic. I'm not going to say his name because he's actually a presence online. Let's see. But anyway, he worked with Louis C.K., and I had to know. I was like, dude, I have to know. Why is Louis C.K. so good? And I really honestly didn't expect him to give an answer. And he did. And I don't know if I should actually share the reason why. He actually gave me some insight onto the workflow. And I brought it up because I don't want to tell you. No, because I don't know. Let's see. There we go. And then you would say... Oh, I'm leaking through somewhere here. Yeah. Yeah, I should let people know I'm streaming. I mean, if anything, if you had little minions doing stuff, it would be good to let them know when I do stream. Where's the... Probably through there. Yeah, so then I found out that Louis C.K. will listen to his stand-up all day, all the way up until the moments before he does his next stand-up. And once I heard that, I was like, that makes perfect sense. That's really what it would take. Let's put some music on, because I'm about to get into this drawing. I'm listening to the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, And I mean, I don't know. I don't know a lot about the 1700s. Like, don't get me wrong. I know the standard stuff in a decently educated way, but I feel like there are certain things I do know a lot in some pretty deep, on a deep level. And the more and more I learn about all the more and more I learn about Benjamin Franklin, I mean, it's impressive, but kind of not. Seems like the guy had a really good life. I mean, I don't think there's any reason to bring him back kind of stuff. Like, I legitimately think it would be interesting to bring George Washington back. The more I learn about George Washington, the more interesting he is. But also, you know, he married up and had slaves. You know, it's interesting. Abraham Lincoln married up too. So I guess if you want to get into politics and you're born into obscurity, in order to elevate yourself, you should probably marry up. I'm not sure that's my ambition. I think, you know, honestly, I'm on the path of probably becoming a confirmed bachelor. I think it's starting to become more common now than most times. I don't know why I said most times. Than more common now than... I'd like to see some of those really great podcasters draw and do talk at the same time. Now, having said that, I did sign up for this, so, you know, some people could say, hey, listen, bucko, shut the hecko up-o. But I say no. Ooh, we got some twirly-doos over here. So maybe she's like, nah, don't freaking push my hair like they, yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Ooh, what's going on here? I don't even know. I feel like Oliver's got kind of a tomboy approach to things. But she's also a female character who isn't pursuing a love interest. Princess Mononoke was like that. She wasn't even interested. The guy loved her, actually. The one Mei character fell in love with her, and she was not particularly interested. She seemed like she was more interested than maybe anybody else, but that she wasn't really interested in romance at all. She was more interested in the in preserving the forests and things like that. So, you know, you got that going there, old Princess Mononokers. Princess Mononokas. Let's see what else we got here. All right, I thought somebody was reaching out. So, yeah, all right, let's push through this. All right, so we got Oliver here. Let's drop the opacity on this stuff pretty hard. There we go. Let's really get in here. Let's try to get a little loose with it. But I want this to be a unique, like, kind of looser one, but I also want it to kind of... It's got to be kind, because Eric was kind. Eric was very kind. So we come over here like this. There we go. That's really how these are done. I always forget about that. I try to push... You can't push comic book through line work specifically. You have to get the texture work in there. You have to get the textures, and the textures have to follow the contours of the shape of the object. or the surface. And that takes time, and that's really what you're trying to do. Am I weirded out by AI? Weirded out? No, I don't think that's the term I would use. I'm not weirded out by it. I think it's just a new tool. You know, it's become novel at this point. Honestly, it's not like anyone's blowing the world up with AI at the moment. It does some really cool stuff. You know, what's interesting is that a colleague of mine actually spent a weekend with a friend trying to make an entire graphic novel with it, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I think he forgot who he was talking to when he brought it up, because he had one of those double takes. People can tell you a lot with their looks, the way they look and stuff like that. I pick up on nuance. I really do. And for years and years, in my late 20s, I abandoned listening to my instincts, and that was a big mistake. But luckily, I've learned the mistake, and I've returned back to paying attention to the nuances of life. You know, when people will tell you a lot non-verbally. Heck, I live in a neighborhood where people don't speak English very often, and you can communicate with everybody just fine without language. You can have a little bit of language to be like, I don't know. You know, and sometimes that frustrates people. You know, some people aren't trying to talk to someone who doesn't speak the language, which is funny because it's not like I'm in Spain or anything, or in Mexico or something. So I was like, why are you upset? But Chicago's an interesting place because the neighborhoods are so vastly different. Some people never leave their neighborhood, as crazy as that sounds. So I always thought that, you know, back where I'm from in Ohio, that you'd have townies and you'd be like, oh, these townies, they don't know much about the world. And it's crazy because there are townies in big cities. There are people who have literally never left their city. And it gets even worse. There are people who've literally never left their neighborhood. So you never really know who you're going to run into. So you can't treat everyone the same. You have to, especially if they're a stranger, you need to be very perceptive of things. Now, having said that, you can assume good things about people. You don't have to assume bad things. That's not a way to live. You know, too much cynicism can ruin your experience in life. Oliver just kind of turned into a chunker a little bit, huh? We'll get there, though. We're going to work it and rework it. You know, an hour is not enough to do this. I might actually have to start my streams at 7 and push till 9. I think that's what's going to end up happening. Or whenever I get home from the gym. So I go to the gym right before I come back here to draw, because my work is very sedentary. But if you... Ooh, there we go. If you... Oh, wow, the stream's pretty far behind. To give you an idea, I feel like the stream is probably a good... almost like a minute behind. Ooh, and then we'll hide Boss up here. Not too bad. Not too bad. I wonder how many more hours it is until this book's done. We're at an interesting phase in the book. There are certain pages, and this is one of them, where they have to be really, really well done, in my opinion, to hold people in. And then, I don't know. It'll all be determined by the deadline. You know, it's funny. I actually went through the book through somebody who actually bought several copies of the book. And there's a page or two that are a little, like, not very well rendered. And it's funny because when he was flipping through the book, he kind of stopped and goes, eh? And I just kind of shrugged my shoulders and was like, well, I mean, I had to get it done. And you know, it's interesting. A lot of people didn't understand that. And I think it's because a lot of people don't finish their things, you know? Or some of them do, and they just don't have the same standard as me. And I think that, you know, it's interesting too, because the standard is the reason why I think I don't finish a lot of stuff. I think as I become more established as a filmmaker, no one will give a shit about all the stuff I didn't do. But I got a lot of guff for it over the years. Well, deservedly so. I mean, if you decide to do epic things, I mean, you open up criticism. Don't worry about the criticism because it's just a part of it. It's an unavoidable part of it. You can't control it. It's a waste of time. It comes with it. So. So I guess I could do this on both sides. I want this to have a border around it. You know, I applied to C2E2 to try to get in to a thing called Artist Alley. And then I was rejected from Artist Alley, which I was a little surprised by. But then they recommended, well, they didn't recommend. They said, hey, if you feel like you might be more of an author, maybe try going to artist or writer's block. And I was like, oh, shoot, that makes more sense. I mean, I'd be selling graphic novels. If I was selling graphic novels in Artist Alley, that'd be kind of odd. But I've never done a convention before. And C2E2 is one of the big, like maybe one of the top 5 conventions for this type of stuff. And so they might actually think that I wouldn't be a good fit, or that it's not time. I need to do some smaller conventions. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. It seems borderline dumb, but it's their convention. But yeah, today I actually updated my application to be a little more like, hey, I really, because there's a portion of it where you can put just notes, where you can just say anything. And the first time I didn't fill it out. I was like, oh, this is fine. I got a graphic novel. They'll see that. And then I started to think like, man, I really want to get into this. So I decided to fill it out today and didn't spend too much time on it, but probably spent about a good 15, 20 minutes. Well, I guess that is a lot of time on it, and submitted basically like, please pick me. It was almost like a cover letter kind of thing, where you kind of go, I really think that I could bring some happiness and I would be a good asset to do this. That's a right venue. People are going to see me here and it's going to be good and I'll be a good boy. You know what I mean? Kind of stuff like that. People like that stuff. Because otherwise, if you don't say anything, it's just, who knows what they'll fill it up with. I don't think they're going to fill it up with, this guy's probably a genius. I doubt that. Highly, highly doubt that. I have been getting a lot of followers on Instagram, though, so that's kind of nice. Don't know what to do here with this arm. Really got to work that one out. But in the meantime, let's get into Jammer's face. I'm just going to do stuff I want to do right now. I know you're not supposed to do things that way, but screw it. So we got Jammer's face right here, kind of scratchy kind of thing. Let's drop the old look, and then let's do this. Hey, McGruff! There he is. I missed ya. Good to see ya. Good to see ya, McGruff. Good to see ya. Yesterday, my computer crashed, and my arm was killing me, and so between the two things, I was like, I think I'm gonna call it. Yeah, the computer crashed. I might have to get a better computer at some point, but the programs that I use are very robust, and I just, like, for example, this image is so big, the Photoshop doesn't really consider it an image. It's like kind of like a bunch of images saved together, and so it recommends not making images this big. But the thing is that when I draw on this level, by the time I shrink it down, it's just wildly detailed, and so the value is there, and so I stick with it. But sometimes the computer crashes. I really should figure out the limitations of my computer and what I'm doing. Dude, check this out. Actually, I'll show you right here. It says exactly what the aspect ratio is. So it's 72. Was it PPI? So it's not DPI, it's PPI, which I don't know what that means. And the aspect ratio is 7680 by 4320. Which, let's see what IMAX is. IMAX pixel resolution. IMAX is, maybe this will show me. I never get this language right. You'd think I'd know this stuff. This is kind of my field. Pixel aspect ratio. Yeah, I want the ratio. It is, still won't tell me. Let's say it in pixels. Come on, just tell me what it is. I need to take the time to learn this stuff. Dang it. Holy balls. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. But let's figure out. IMAX is 70 millimeter by 48. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, well, regardless, I'm pretty sure that I'm larger than, this is bigger than IMAX. So, you know, it's just a lot of value. I'm not going to cheat my individuals on this, my consumers. Oh, you know, it's interesting. Somebody actually found the Instagram page for Conformity Farm and said, I bought Mud is Good, which is it's like basically a miracle, because if you look at the graphic novel, it doesn't say Conformity Farm on it, which was a big marketing mistake on my part. Well, I don't know if it's big. Yeah, I guess it is big. But, I mean, it's big enough. But for them to be like, oh, I have this book. And I was like, hey, you actually got a rare version because those are going to be discontinued. Oh, actually, McGruff, as I was saying before you politely interrupted me. You didn't interrupt me. I'm kidding. I looked at my writer's block submission for C2E2, and the submission is still pending. I think they're going to decide in the next couple of days. But on the application is a spot where you can write anything, just a note. And the first time, I didn't write anything because, you know, I was like, oh, I'll be fine. Well, they didn't accept me, and I really want to get accepted. So I actually went back to the thing today, and crafted a pretty nice, almost like a cover letter type of statement. So it's probably like 3 or 4 paragraphs, short paragraphs. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to bore anyone. But yeah, I went through it and was like, I'll be a good boy. I promise I'll be a good boy. It'll be good for people to see me. And I said I was a Chicago native, which I'm not by definition, but I am, you know, residing in the old Chicago land area. Been working with your boy Alex, man. Having a good time. Having a good time working with Alexa. Alex. I'm about to start making fun of him for his tick, though. Whenever you ask him a question, he'll go, huh? I'm like, bro, you heard me. What are you doing? But we all have ticks, so it's not really that. I'm just kidding. I probably won't say anything. He might be listening to the stream right now. Alex, if you are listening to the stream, type HUH into the chat box. See? Told you he's not here. So we got this. And then this. Yeah, let's put the arm out more like that. I need to make a commitment on these paws. I got 2 types of paws that I've been drawing in this book. I got one type of paw that, here's the wrist, right? So that's the arm and the wrist, where I just put nubs on the end like this, because it's kind of funny. It's cute. But then I do another one where I take and I put a little kind of like, you know, kind of sandwich looking thing. And then I put the nubs on there. So I have a palm and then some nubs. But then sometimes they got 4 fingers. So kind of the traditional cartoon stuff. So I think that this weekend, honestly, I should make a commitment about, you know, what things are going to look like, where everything's going, and finalize this story so I can, you know, fill in the rest of this, because I want to get these books printed off by the beginning of April, the end of March, so that I can have enough to take with me to C2E2 if I can get into C2E2. If I don't get into C2E2, then I'll just take them to the next convention I can get into. So it's not like C2E2 is the end all be all, but it would be a great one to be at. And after going to ShyTag and seeing how much stuff you can sell at these things, I am pretty excited. So I do expect to make my money back. And I'm going to go all in, you know. I'll go all in. Heck yeah, I will. Here, let's get into Charta a little bit over here. Actually, let's see what's going on with this whole crew. Let's bring up everything, and then let's merge. Okay. Like this. Huh. People are funny. Okay, so then we merge. Let's move this around here. What are we going to do with these guys? I think we should put JobBot in here too. Eric really liked JobBot. We'll do a lot of the characters. But, copy. So then we'll cut this. Let's put on a separate layer. Maybe come out a little bit bigger. There we go. There we go. And then drop this border down a little bit. There we go. Ooh. You know, I like working, man. I like working. I basically, all I do is work now. It's crazy. It's like routines are really powerful things. I literally just work around the clock, and it doesn't bother me at all. But I'm not bagging groceries. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But I think that at that point, I'd probably want to smoke more weed and fucking hang out more. But since I'm doing my work, I just don't. Hanging out is not a high priority anymore. I'm trying to accomplish my ish. Let's get this gut going. There we go, Charta. So what would we say here with Charta's mouth? Let's get in here a little bit. How are we going to do this? Actually, let's do his eye. Let's take another shot at his eye. So I think his eye, it's this wavelength looking thing. It's like a sound wave, really. And what we'll do is we'll kind of bend it around here. I really think that the world wants something new. With all these toys and all these IPs, classic IPs, and nobody taking chances, I think there's plenty of space for something new if you can get some breath behind it. And by breath, I mean like a guy. And like a guy, as in a guy, I mean I. There we go. Chart is I, to be exact. Okay, that worked. That worked. It's not bad. There we go. There we go. Big companies these days, new is scary. Everyone's worried about losing their job, and then look what happened. Hasbro laid off 1,000 people. So these big companies, they don't want to take risks. Everyone's trying to be, careful, and then they lose their freaking jobs. So then why are you guys being so I don't know, man. It's just one of those times. I was a kid in the 90s, and during the 90s, there was some really bold, creative things happening. It was pretty amazing, and I'm highly inspired by that. Now, having said that, if I all of a sudden turn into a multimillionaire, maybe I'll start to get a little protectionist, but I'm not there yet. So for now, I'm willing to keep world building from scratch. Those corporate people, man, they're just not. I don't know. It's like what motivates someone to join a corporation is, they want that paycheck. They want that stability. So it makes sense. I'm sure you heard the story about Steve Wozniak trying to get IBM to build a personal computer. And I think he had like several meetings with them where he pitched it to them. And then Steve Jobs was like, come on, let's do it ourselves. And he's like, no. And then he's like, let me pitch it one more time. And then after they didn't take it, he was basically like, all right, let's do it. And then Steve's like, yes, this was my idea. Steve Jobs, it was my idea. That's what they should put on his tombstone. No, I'm sure he was cremated or something. Steve Jobs, it was my idea. Bill Burr's got a really funny joke about Steve Jobs' PR, because Steve Jobs' PR team. I think that Steve Jobs honestly wanted to get into politics. I think that's the reason why his PR team did what it did with him. It was like Martin Luther King, Gandhi, me, Mother Teresa, Jesus, this guy. Steve Jobs, I did it. Steve, I did it, Jobs. Well, he definitely did some cool shit. Don't get me wrong. Design-wise. And I was actually talking about this at work. Because we were talking about most of the time, the people who get elevated into corporations are salespeople or finance people. And engineers and creatives definitely don't get the opportunity. And then I was saying Steve Jobs was a designer, and he was like, there's a little bit of pushback. But granted, I was arguing with a finance guy. He's pretty cool though. We got a good team at Top Secret. I hope they keep Alex. Alex seems like he's being smart about it though. He left early because he didn't have anything else to do. Because in order for him to work more, he needed some stuff to be shipped in. So he left early so that he didn't bilk on the clock, and I thought that was a baller move. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to. He understands that stuff. I would have stayed. I would have been like, I need every bit it. Actually, that's not true. When they were trying me out, I was trying to get out of the office right away. They like that. It's like being the hot girl, right? You're like playing hard to get. That hot girl. He's big brain. He is big brain. You're right, bro. He is big brain. Gotta protect our big brains. We do. I'll always protect you, big brains. Me and my little brain, but tough hands. I'll use my tough hands to protect my big brain friends. All right, maybe come in here. Yeah, I think it's just time to get in here and do some texturing. hope James jumps in here. Make sure his health is doing all right. Got to check up on our boy James. Big brain. Big brain. Time to smash big brain. Big brain make me feel bad. Big brain make me feel bad about my brain. I built the pyramids. I'm Steve Jobs. I'm my dad. Yeah, this looks kind of funky. Maybe we'll come in here, come around these lips here. You know, it's not a really crazy week at work, so I might actually work over here. Because I don't want these pages to linger. Really want to get some significant work done, which would be cool too, because if Conformity Farm, you know, however many, if this makes it to like Conformity Farm 100 or whatever, and you could actually watch page by page as I finish the book, and if you like the book, you can literally watch me create it. So that's the reason why I did these. So I actually think that they will actually have some value to them. And I think I'm the only person who does this in the whole world. Some people might do it. I doubt it though. Maybe. I got invited to a drawing group where these people are like kind of aspiring comic book illustrators, but I feel like they're more hobbyists because it doesn't really feel like they're approaching it in a way that's going to make them successful. And it's a weird environment to be in a sense, because you want to be like, hey, you're going to have to go harder, but like people aren't trying to hear that stuff, you know? So instead, all you can really do is just say individual, I don't know, man. I just need to be, I got to be kinder to people and realize it's not everything's about success, or, you know, I don't have to be the Michael Jordan of things, you know? Because Michael Jordan, even though he's really successful, was an asshole. But it's like, unless I'm functioning on that level, do I really have the authority to be an asshole? I'm not sure I am. Which actually makes me a real asshole. Like a very, like the worst kind of asshole. Just gonna have to chill out a little bit. Screw you, Dad. My name's not Miller Lite, Dad. My name's not Miller Lite, Dad. Oh, your name's not Miller Lite, but Dad called you Miller Lite. All right, so it gets a little bit darker on this side. Oh, I need to get in there more so you can see what I'm doing. I forget who said it, but something like success comes in many forms and one person's success could be someone else's failure. Something. I don't know. Everything's a process. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's interesting. One person's success can be someone else's failure. Yeah, well, it's all relative. Being around more like-minded folks sounds rad, though. Yeah, but I don't know. You also need, it's not, you know, like, I think the difference is that group of people is more of a fans of doing it, and they do it in like a cathartic way. I think what I need to do is find, you know, like-minded people is good, but I need to find contemporaries. That's the difference. So yeah, you're right. Like, to them, they're being successful by practicing what they do and then going and doing their life. To me, that's not success. And so you're right. But I think that as long, you know, it's, ooh, there's what I was looking for. Chart Had a little bit of a curve on the top of his head. It's kind of interesting. Like, I lived with my cousin who was a professional actor for a number of years. And I started going to college for theater and communications. And I was in a show, just a small show at the university. And I was really proud about being in the show. And so I wanted to, actually, I probably have it somewhere around here, but I'm pretty sure I should have the printout poster for the show. And I was going to frame it. And I remember him kind of mocking me a little bit for wanting to do that. And he made a statement that was saying, I just think that your interpretation of success is different from my interpretation of success, which is funny because things have changed so much in his life. I think that he would renege on that statement. But at the time, I think he felt pretty good about his statement. But at the time, I mean, he was used to me being affected by his opinion. But up at that moment, I stopped caring about what he thought. I stopped caring what other people think. I feel pretty confident about what I want and all these different things. It isn't influenced by others. But it was for a long time. For a very long time it was. I actually talked about some of this with Alex. I've been bonding with Alex a lot lately. It's been pretty cool, man. Couple of Ohio boys. In about 15 minutes, I'm going to take like a 5-minute break. And then I'm going to come back and draw until it's time for bed. Time for bed. I don't wanna. But it seems like Alex wants to be at the gig. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been, approaching it the way that he is. It's a really good gig for him, honestly. It's right down the road. He doesn't have to move back to Ohio. It's a company that, not sure if it's going to be around in 5 years or what form it'll be around in 5 years. And they're giving us younger guys a lot of leeway in the company because, they'd like to see, they feel like they've taken it as far as they can and would like to see how other people take it. But, it's a lot of work. And so the day today is a grind. I mean, today was pretty, we kind of just kept our heads down and, you look up and you're like, oh no, it's time to go home. Like, oh no, I got to go back to my wife. There was one guy working there who I was like, hey, dude, I feel like you could do this from home. He's like, no, I got like 5 kids. I'm not trying to go home. Not too bad. All right, I like this look. Actually, I think it's a good time for me to... I'm going to go change a couple things up real quick. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Actually, I should put something on here. 5 minutes. Taking a 5 minutes. being around more like-minded people. Oh, here we are. I wonder if this lasted 5 minutes. Was it 5 minutes? Probably less than 5 minutes. Back. Let's put something else on since no one's here. Joey's Super Cool Tuesday. Back. Oh God, TJ. I can't believe I drew right on this layer. Joey's Super Cool Tuesday. Back. Democracy on Trial. See, these frontline videos, they repost their videos all the time, so you never know what's topical.
Has Donald Trump called you for advice or talked to you? And all, first of all, you've given him some pretty good advice so far, if you have. Yeah. But has he called and talked to you? I would call you if I was right. No, he hasn't. No. Has Donald Trump called you for advice or talked to you? And all, first of all, you've given him some pretty good advice so far, if you have. Yeah. But has he called and talked to you? I would call you if I was right. No, he hasn't. No. Has Donald Trump called you?
Why men are refusing to date. Oh, interesting. Thanks, YouTube algorithm. Screenplay writing. What helped keep me sober from alcohol? What are you trying to tell me, YouTube? Did the future already happen? The paradox of time. Ooh, Kierkegaard. Out here putting some bangers. Nvidia became a $1 trillion company. Yeah, I know. That's the coolest story, honestly, in my opinion. Let's put that on.
This video is brought to you by Aura. Hi, welcome to another episode of Cold Fusion. 220%.
Cold Fusion does some dope stuff.
Increase in the share price.
I mean, that's real journalism nowadays.
They've secured the position as the highest performing stock in the S&P 500 for 2023.
Yeah.
Traditionally, Nvidia is the company behind
Nvidia is going to keep going. So if anybody on the stream's trying to find somewhere to store their money, Nvidia will probably double again. I know my ish on this stuff.
According to Amazon, more than 90% of Fortune 100 companies.
There's always more money than there is, you know, innovators. So when people are truly doing incredible stuff, the money will follow. Oh, I don't want red.
And partners with Google too. It's also used in Amazon's robot warehouses. In summary, Nvidia is a much bigger deal than most people realize. They're not just a company that makes graphics cards for gaming, even though that's what they've become known for. They're selling shovels in a gold rush, providing the infrastructure for the digital age. And for that, today, Nvidia is worth over $1 trillion. While there are questions of whether a company with a $1.2 trillion market cap is part of a bubble, there is no doubt the influence Nvidia has had on the wider industry. From very nearly going bankrupt in 1995, it's been a remarkable turnaround. In this episode,
wow, they almost went bankrupt? I didn't know that. 1995? Oh, there was nothing I could do. I was only 7 years old. Dang it, I shouldn't have been 7 years old. I made another mistake. Another key mistake. Idiot.
A decade of fuzzy TV, dial-up internet, and beige boxes. Those of us who grew up in this decade also witnessed the evolution of the personal computer.
Yeah,
in the early
that's
90s,
true.
Rendering a file browser window or chunks of text was about all the graphics that you would need. CPUs were powerful enough for that. Unless you were in the animation or engineering industry, there was no need.
Animation or engineering industry? Nobody's in that industry. Nobody's in that industry. Nobody.
But what if there was a separate hardware processor that could easily bring graphics to the personal computing world? Tucked away.
That must be what the Pixar computer was. Just basically a graphics card company.
Chris
Malachowski.
were thinking the same thing.
Oops.
They would meet at a local Denny's where endless cups of coffee
Denny's.
filled their conversations. At one of these meetings, the trio noticed something. A CPU, which is the heart of the computer, is designed as a general-purpose processor that can only tackle one task at a time, a method known as serial processing. At the time, generating 3D graphics for video games placed tremendous repetitive math-intensive demands on CPUs. If there was a separate chip that could do parallel processing, it would be a game changer. In other words, this chip would divide complex tasks into smaller ones and carry them out at the same time. This approach is far more efficient for tasks like rendering 3D graphics, where many calculations can be done at the same time. This new chip wouldn't replace the CPU, but would complement it for graphical tasks. This would later be known as a GPU. And this idea was the beginning of NVIDIA. It was a simple idea with modern hindsight, but it would revolutionize not only computing, but computer science over the next 20 years. But right now, NVIDIA's focus was on the gaming experience on PCs in the 90s, and that market had potential, big potential. So, in 1993, in a condo in Fremont, California, NVIDIA was founded with the idea of applying the use of parallel processing GPUs in home computers. Fun fact, the name NVIDIA is actually the portmanteau of NV, short for next version, and NVIDIA, which means envy in Latin. You'll notice all the green on their logos. This represents the envy, which they hoped everyone would feel due to the computing power their chip would generate.
Ah, interesting.
Before we continue, let's hear a quick word from today's sponsor.
No wonder they almost filed for bankruptcy.
Countless people are affected by data brokers. They're making a fortune by selling your information to robocallers and scammers. They can no
Boy, am I getting calls from robocallers.
an address, but how could this be stopped? This is where today's sponsor, Aura, comes in. They can identify data brokers.
Womp womp, we're not putting an ad on my thing.
Brokers are legally required to remove your information if you ask them, but they the video.
We ain't putting no ad on here.
NVIDIA's founders were top engineers. Jensen Huang, a Taiwanese-American electrical engineer, had a track record as the director of coreware at LSI Logic and a microprocessor designer at AMD. Remember the name LSI Logic? This company would prove pivotal to NVIDIA making it off the ground at all. The two other founders were also capable. Chris Malachowski brought engineering expertise
Malachowski.
from his time at HP and Sun Microsystems.
Germaniac.
And Curtis Prim was a former graphics chip designer at IBM and Sun Microsystems. Though being a qualified engineer is one thing, but launching a startup is another. And this is something that NVIDIA's founders learned firsthand. In fact, at first, they weren't even sure what to do. So,
We don't even know what to do.
to one of their meetings in 1993.
Isn't that how it all
First
starts,
step
though?
was incorporating the company. To get the ball rolling, they needed some initial capital to value the company's shares. Jensen Huang had $200 in his pocket.
I got
He handed it
$200.
to the lawyer. This modest sum not only got the company incorporated, but also earned Huang a 20% stake in NVIDIA.
Wow.
The next step
20% stake in NVIDIA for $200.
was not easy. As NVIDIA's founders soon learned, venture capitalists weren't interested in polished business plans. Instead, they banked on their founders' reputation, past success, and a grand vision big enough to be worth the risk. NVIDIA would eventually secure $20 million in funding from Sequoia Capital and Sutter Hill Ventures. To an outsider,
Is Sequoia Capital still around?
how could a brand
I don't think it
new
is.
company secure $20 million in funding just like that? In reality, it was Jensen Huang's previous connection to LSI Logic, the company that I mentioned earlier, that made the funding possible. Jensen would reach out to LSI's CEO, who would arrange a meeting with Sequoia Capital. Sequoia had previously invested in LSI Logic, which delivered a record-breaking $150 million return.
Ah, that's what would do it.
Within LSI, Sequoia was willing to listen
Wow.
to Noki. At first, Sequoia's founder was skeptical about investing in a graphics card company, but they eventually took the gamble and invested an initial sum of $2 million, followed by a further $18 million. What I'm going to say next
Wow.
is some key context here. This was a very risky decision. At the time, there were 89 other companies with similar ambitions to NVIDIA, but the fact of the matter is, except for AMD and NVIDIA, none of these other companies would survive. When NVIDIA went public in 1999, it was valued at $600 million. So, the risk of the initial investment paid off handsomely, multiplied by 100 times handsomely. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. At this stage in the story, NVIDIA was just a small group of engineers. After receiving funding, it took NVIDIA 2 years to build a team and create their first product, the NV1, which was officially launched in 1995. During the development of the NV1 chip, NVIDIA secured a deal with Sega. This was to manufacture NV1 chips for their gaming consoles. These chips were intended for games such as Virtua Fighter and Daytona.
Oh, damn it.
NV1 chips
What's
were
Big
also
Pog?
available for computers. So that
What's
means
Big Pog?
you could play Sega Saturn games natively.
This is a big frog. Is that what you meant to do? Is that a typo? Big frog.
The first PlayStation only came out a year earlier.
Fucking big ass fucking pogs, bro.
Similar done since.
Big
It's like
frog.
if Sony was to build a computer graphics card and you could slot that into your desktop and play PS5 games natively. But there was a problem though. NVIDIA chose to use a quadrangle-based image rendering architecture for their NV1 chips, and Sega was not pleased with this. Regardless,
Sega!
NVIDIA's leadership
Not
refused
pleased.
to change their decision.
Whoa.
So the question is, why did they choose to render polygons and quadratics instead of triangles? Well, that choice is explained in this video by Lazy Game Reviews.
Oh, they decided to go with polygons.
Or squares instead of triangles to speed up rendering by reducing the CPU workload.
Well, that's the future too, is polygons. So are we
Better rounded objects.
doing polygons, sculpting in polygons because NVIDIA chose to?
And at the time, with a lot lower speeds of CPUs and memory clocks and all that stuff, it made sense to use squares instead of triangles, at least in some situations, to get better rounded objects or models in your
Ah.
triangles. You had more processing power required. Now, as memory got better and better, this made little sense. And it also kind of made little sense at the time because this meant that there was no support for OpenGL. They didn't even want to include it. I read a statement by NVIDIA and SGS Thompson saying that they didn't think consumers would need OpenGL at all, so they just didn't bother with it.
Damn.
And then by the time Direct 3D came along and DirectX, this couldn't do that either because it didn't support rendering through quads, only through traditional triangles and those types of polygons. They did release a driver or patch for it to update it to run DirectX, but only through software. So you're effectively running a hardware accelerator in software mode to run hardware accelerated DirectX, Direct 3D stuff. It made no sense.
Despite the innovation, the project was an abject failure. It was designed to be a jack of all trades, combining 3D graphics, video and audio processing, and a host of other functions into a single chip. As Jensen Huang would later put it, it was an octopus, complicated, multifaceted, and perhaps too ahead of its time.
Oh, wow.
The end result
That'll do
was
it
a
too,
failure
being
to
too
capture
far
the
ahead.
market's attention. What the market did want was something much simpler. They wanted a dedicated 3D graphics chip. They didn't want an all-in-one solution like the NV1 chip. Aside from that, it was overpriced compared to the competition. To make matters worse, the wider industry was moving in a different direction. Microsoft had recently introduced DirectX, a new API that favored a triangle-based standard for 3D graphics rendering. It made coding for graphics easier for developers, so they naturally flocked to it. This shift meant that the NV1 chip was incompatible with DirectX. As a result, many existing games suffered from performance issues or were outright unplayable on NVIDIA's new chip. The incompatibility was a significant blow to NVIDIA. Their customer partner, Diamond Multimedia, returned the vast majority of the 250,000 NV1 units they had purchased. They cited poor sales and a lack of game support. This return nearly bankrupted NVIDIA.
Ah, that's the moment.
Of their 80 employees, and
Damn.
leaving them with a stockpile of unsellable chips. In essence, it was a $10 million disaster. Amidst the turmoil, NVIDIA was in the process of developing the NV2 chip for Sega, but it too was based on the same outdated quadrangle architecture. NVIDIA now knew that they had to pivot to survive. Jensen Huang had a major problem here. In a Hail Mary move, he approached Sega's CEO with a request. Let us be released from the contract, but with full payment. NVIDIA desperately needed this money to keep the company afloat. In an act of extraordinary kindness, Sega's CEO agreed to Huang's request. This act of generosity allowed NVIDIA to redirect its focus and resources towards a path that aligned with the industry's direction. If Sega pulled out their investment at that time, NVIDIA would have ceased to exist. Overall, the NV1's failure became a critical learning experience for NVIDIA. They realized the need to understand customer needs and market trends. This shaped NVIDIA's strategy moving forward. I think it's pretty wild how close NVIDIA came to failing and now being worth over $1 trillion. Making
Right.
the decision to listen to the
You know what's sad too is that Nvidia's doing great, but it was Sega who bailed them out, and Sega's not doing so hot. I mean, they're not very big.
After their initial failure, NVIDIA chose to launch into the PC industry, this time with a straightforward product. The PC market was booming, and all they had to do was lie in wait and pounce at the right time. In 1999, NVIDIA entered the PC graphics market with the GeForce 256 graphics card. This card wasn't just a hit, it transformed the landscape as the first programmable graphics card. It also popularized the term GPU, or Graphics Processing Unit. It allowed both regular gamers and developers to explore new possibilities with shading and lighting effects. This significantly enhanced the gaming experience. As NVIDIA rode this wave of success, the company went public in the same year. By 2000, NVIDIA had secured a major deal to develop graphics hardware for Microsoft's Xbox game console. This deal gave NVIDIA a substantial $200 million advance.
Wow.
A cry from the previous game console effort with Sega. The Xbox would launch in 2001 with a custom console-ready chip called the NV2A. With this success as a launchpad, NVIDIA thrived throughout the 2000s. They played a key role in crafting Sony's PlayStation 3 processors. Massive brands in the computer industry, like Apple, Dell, and HP, started using NVIDIA's GPUs. The company continued to grow from strength to strength. Let's take a look at the strategies and technologies that got them there. One of NVIDIA's most important strategic decisions was to operate as a fabless chip company. So what is a fabless chip company? Well, fabless chip companies design the chips, but they don't physically manufacture them. Jensen Huang, NVIDIA's CEO, was very particular about this decision, a decision to drastically keep costs down. In NVIDIA's case, TSMC, or Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company,
Taiwan.
manufacturing partner for the
Taiwan number one. Number one, Taiwan.
is the world's largest and most advanced semiconductor foundry. It provides manufacturing services for other big chip design companies, including Apple, AMD, Qualcomm, and others. TSMC played a major role in NVIDIA's continuous success, as they have the best manufacturing capabilities on Earth. Jensen Huang knows this well. In his own words, quote, "NVIDIA today would not be here if not for the pioneering work TSMC did." While NVIDIA's manufacturing was outsourced, the company could direct resources to innovation. They began to shift their focus.
Oh, dude, I got some Taiwan news if you want a quick chat after the stream.
Parallel
What? Taiwan news?
NVIDIA now sought to
Is it that Xi Jinping's going to invade in the next 10 years?
the GPU.
That'd be insightful.
2006, NVIDIA launched a software toolkit.
Yeah, dude, I want to hear about it.
Prior to CUDA, programming a GPU required a lot of tinkering and was a real headache for coders. It involved
Oh, you know me about Taiwan news. I'm right on top of that Taiwan news.
became much easier.
You know, the only thing I know about Taiwan is when I go on to Call of Duty servers and only play in Taiwan, I go, America number one. They're like, no, Taiwan number one.
Rather than just graphics,
Taiwan number one. I was like, America number one. They're like, no.
it opened up
And then
possibilities
I go, America
dealing with huge
top 10.
amounts of data.
And they go, yeah, America top 10.
Started in 2000
Taiwan number one.
when the Tokyo
I was like, okay.
Institute of Technology
America number 3. They're like,
GPU computer.
yeah, America number 3.
1.01.
Taiwan number 1.
Since then,
China number
many
2.
other data centers, such as
America
Microsoft
number 3.
services, Google
Sorry.
and Netflix,
Sorry, is that offensive? My bad,
applications.
dude.
These
It's not very
include
tolerant.
cloud computing, machine learning,
It's funny to me, though.
video streaming,
It's
and
funny to me because I'm an
the real
idiot.
acceleration came about
I
with
want to
AI.
clip that, but maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, please don't clip that. Don't clip that. It turned me into Shane Gillis.
Many consider
I'm good.
bang moment for AI.
It's kind of funny, though. I said it because it's funny.
Evolved in a significant
But you're right. I
AI
shouldn't
breakthrough.
clip it.
This
You should clip me saying things like, wow, a woman singer.
where teams
I
from
like
around the
that.
world would compete to see how well their software
And what was the other one?
was
You talking shit about my feathers? Huh?
Alex Krzyzewski, a
You
PhD
talking shit about my feathers?
University of Toronto at the time, participated
Talking shit to me?
with a novel approach. He leveraged the power of GPUs to enhance
Taiwan double what?
Deep learning is a process where computers can learn by
When you were in Taiwan,
about
or
outperform
you weren't in Taiwan, were you? You were in Hong Kong.
NVIDIA GeForce
I'm
GTX
curious what the
50
Taiwan
gaming
news is.
cards to his computer. Krzyzewski was able to process AlexNet's neural network with 1.2 million images.
Taiwan
The
double what?
result was remarkable at the time.
Hong
The image
Kong
recognition accuracy
number 2.
showed a 15% error
China
rate, down from 25%
number 3.
the year before. It's laughable today. Tools like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and even Google Lens can do that now with much more accuracy. But back then, it was revolutionary. It was this event that thawed the AI winter. After decades of experts accepting that neural networks would never be practical, this proved them wrong. The NVIDIA GeForce GTX 580 cards were significant because they were optimized for CUDA, which of course allows for the implementation of parallel algorithms. They were crucial for deep learning tasks performed by AlexNet AI. Now the door had been swung wide open for many possibilities in deep learning applications, and NVIDIA was ready for it. The strategic time and investment into CUDA and the software ecosystem around it was paying off. NVIDIA's GPUs are now
Ooh, look at the detail on that. No one will ever see it. From here, look how far away it is. No one will ever see the detail. What?
Series GPUs, and this is for the rapid and widespread deployment of their AI models. After ChatGPT burst into the scene in November 2022, all of the major tech companies, hoping to jump on the AI hype, scrambled to get their hands on NVIDIA's GPUs. The A100 GPUs.
Yeah, Nvidia can't keep up with their orders, and so they're expanding at full capacity, and there doesn't seem to be. Wow, how is that only an hour and 15 minutes? I'm surprised.
$1 billion in the quarter ending July 2023. That's a staggering 101% increase from the year before.
Yeah.
On May 25th, their stock obtained $184 billion in market value in just one day.
Yeah.
And finally, on May 30th, 2023, NVIDIA became the 6th company in the
You can
world
park your money in Nvidia for the next year or so. You should be fine. Everyone's predicting some sort of downturn in the market, mostly in the real estate market. But those are just rumors.
NVIDIA's impact on the healthcare industry is also notable. In 2022,
The big part is because of the interest rate. The interest rate just isn't there, so a lot of investors are not going to be able to keep leveraging where the interest rate is. And some of them might be hoping that the interest rate's going to come down. I really don't think it is. It shouldn't, in my opinion.
E-commerce operations in self-driving cars. Tesla used those chips to power their Model 3s from 2016 to 2019. Tesla now uses its own chips, but NVIDIA provides semi-autonomous driving technologies for other automakers like Mercedes-Benz. So how is such a company run? How are pivots made so quickly to serve so many sectors with 1/10 the employees of Microsoft? Let's take
Yeah, that's a
quick
good
detour
question.
into NVIDIA's management style. As I
Yeah,
think
tell
it's
me
quite
about it.
interesting. Jensen Huang, CEO,
Jensen
manages a
Huang.
team of 40 directly, and he believes in the power
40, that's
of flat
big.
organizational structure.
I believe it.
There's no exclusive meetings with just VPs or directors. Anyone can join and pitch in.
Cool.
No career advice sessions either, because, as Huang puts it, his management team has already aced it. He also opts for a more dynamic approach by encouraging anyone in the company to shoot him their, quote, top 5 things on the fly.
Yeah.
When it comes to information flow, everyone is in the know at all times. This ensures that information zips around quickly. There's no planning cycle, such as a grand 5-year or 1-year plan. It's all about being agile and adopting to the ever-evolving business and market conditions, especially in the rapidly changing field of AI. Jensen also has an eye for top-notch talent and keeping the team lean. Though, amidst the post-COVID economic slump, major tech firms like Facebook, Amazon, and Google dismissed thousands of workers. In contrast, NVIDIA pledged to avoid layoffs or salary reductions, promising raises for staff instead.
Yeah, well, they got the money, so come on, don't be contradictory.
NVIDIA's internal
They're huge. They're a $1 trillion company. They have the cash. They can borrow against their
An
assets.
example of this was in 2008.
So it's not like they're like,
Failed. NVIDIA was hoping to enter
you
the
know.
mobile industry and created the Tegra smartphone chip. As a side,
wonder if we
there was
open up
actually
his mouth in a
Tegra-powered
different way we
Android
go.
tablet called the Asus Transformer. I had one of these back in
Nah.
the day, and I found the performance to be pretty underwhelming. Many others must have thought so too, because the chip failed to gain traction and flopped. A team of more than 1,000 engineers were responsible for the development of the
No.
Tegra series. Instead of getting rid of them after the chip's failure, Jensen retained the team and encouraged them to explore new avenues. That team later collaborated with NVIDIA's existing automotive unit, and together, they would create chips for self-driving cars. So we've touched on a lot of what NVIDIA's involved in and what they've been doing, but there's still one key sector that we need to talk about, their original focus, gaming. Although NVIDIA has diversified, they have not totally abandoned the gaming market. GPUs are still at the core of their business. In 2018,
Well, the question
NVIDIA
is,
launched
are
the RTX
crypto
series
miners
graphics
outpacing
popularizing
gamers?
technology called ray tracing.
They have more money.
Ray tracing is a demanding technique that
Ooh, ray
simulates the
tracing.
paths of light. It creates more realistic shadows,
Yeah.
reflections, and
Ray
effects.
tracing's dope.
Previously, this usually wasn't a real-time effect. It was only mainstream within the 3D art and animation sectors.
Yeah.
In Jensen Huang's view, ray tracing was only possible because of NVIDIA's research in physics simulation and artificial intelligence. He explains that NVIDIA uses AI to generate 7 out of 8 pixels in a scene
Wow.
based on one ray-traced pixel. It's like a jigsaw where the AI fills in the missing pieces.
Wow.
NVIDIA also popularized the AI upscaling of video games.
So graphics are going to get way better than with AI.
DLSS. In theory, it
That's
allows
cool.
for sharper, higher resolution games without the computational load. But in all of this, there's been an issue with NVIDIA's GPUs. And now we
I think it's AI, crypto, business analysis, artists, gamers. You mean in the where the most money is? Yeah, because
Crypto mining boom is at its height. Miners
AI overnight turned into an entire industry.
some cash.
Some really serious money started moving forward. Google felt like it was on its way out. You know, they probably panicked a little bit.
Prices soared by upwards of 71%.
AI, crypto, business analysis,
Amidst this surge, NVIDIA's
artists.
gaming
Do you think
revenue
that crypto still is relevant? I mean, it's
1.65
still
billion.
like, do you think that the money's still there? Because it felt like a speculative thing.
Growth in revenue was caused by the gaming market.
I mean, graphics card compute consumption. Oh, I see. You think that AI is out consuming
Investors' ability to
computer
accurately
consumption
predict
at this
a
point?
company's performance was compromised. Their unknowingly risky investments eventually
I know that
crashed,
crypto
along with the crypto crash.
has to compute, or it has to
This
consume a lot of
attracted the
energy.
attention of the US
I get that.
Securities and Exchange Commission, and NVIDIA
And it's
was
pretty
charged
crazy that
with
it's
unlawfully
constantly just
shrouding information.
moving.
NVIDIA was
110%.
settled
All right.
in
Well, you're the guy. This is
5.5
your
million and they didn't admit
this is
any
your
guilt
area of
or wrongdoing,
expertise.
but they did agree to improve their revenue
Now, if we were talking about clubbing seals, obviously I'd be the one. You'd have to take my word for it because I'm an expert. That's the only reason I go to Canada is club seals.
CMP line. This was
Not to hurt
supposed to address
cute
the shortage of
animals,
gaming cards,
but I mean
but
clubs,
at
just clubs.
$4,300 per
Seals are what
CMP,
you call
crypto
Canadian
miners
ladies.
would just rather buy regular gaming
Okay.
graphics cards.
See, that's how much I know about it. Let's see where we at.
Jensen Huang is the only CEO of a tech giant who has been at the helm since the company's inception. It's been 30 years, and his long and successful leadership has also attracted some criticism over the years. One of the
Oh
most
fuck, I was
controversial
1/4
aspects
of
his management
a
style
second
is his
away
relentless
from
pursuit of
spitting
profit,
out
which
my coffee on the
sometimes
seal
borders
bit.
on greed. After being fined by the SEC,
You like that
lack of
bit?
transparency left many investors
What part was
furious.
funny?
And aside from this, the gaming community
The misleading part, that's where
is
humor
not
is. You gotta
thrilled for
you gotta
shelving
lead
out so
people
much
one
of
way
their
and then go to
graphics
another
cards.
way.
There's an unmissable chatter online.
It's easier when I'm not
Nvidia
presented as a
cards
stand-up
just
comic.
too overpriced,
Because when you're
especially in the range
when you're
where
kind of
AMD
like
are more competitive.
like a
The
magician,
notable incident
people
that
know
broke
you're gonna do a
Huang's
trick,
business
but you
ethics
still gotta
into
trick them.
was the 2022
Okay.
fallout with EVGA. EVGA was a key partner in producing NVIDIA's GPUs. They chose to sever ties with NVIDIA and withdraw from the GPU market. This decision, according to EVGA CEO Andrew Han, was rooted in principle, stemming from NVIDIA's unsatisfactory communication about contentious pricing strategies.
Oh, interesting.
Such controversies
Surprised.
have cast a shadow over Huang's leadership, challenging the integrity of his profit-driven approach. Maybe to emphasize the challenges.
I feel
Huang
like some of
recently
these
stated in
dramas
an
on
interview
here are a
that if
little
he was allowed to go back
overstepped in order to
time,
make the
he would
video
choose to not
interesting.
relive this career path. Starting and running a company the size of NVIDIA was a headache.
Because this guy seems like he's
He
been a
says
very
he
effective
faced many
CEO.
struggles and hardships as an entrepreneur, all the way from laying off those employees with the in 1995 to competing with bigger rivals and dealing with the constant pressure of uncertainty. In his view, nobody in their right mind would want to endure that pressure.
If you were magically 30 years old again today in 2023, and you were going to Denny's with your two best friends who are the two smartest people you know, and you're talking about starting a company, what are you talking about starting?
Oh, I've heard this one. He wouldn't do it. I heard this one. The CEO of NVIDIA said if he could.
Really quite simple. Ignoring the company that we would start. First of all, I'm not exactly sure. The reason why I wouldn't do it, and it goes back to why it's so hard, is building a company and building a video turned out to have been a million times harder than I expected it to be. Any of us expected it to be. And at that time, if we realized the pain and suffering and just how vulnerable you're going to feel, and the challenges that you're going to endure, the embarrassment and the shame, and the list of all the things that go
Sure.
on, I don't think anybody would start a company. Nobody in their right mind would do it.
Wow.
And I think that's
I heard about this quote. So the founder of NVIDIA, who got 20% of the company for $200, said that if he went back to the IHOB when they were going to start the company and could do it over again, he wouldn't do it. I heard Steve Jobs say something similar. He said, unless it's like literally the most burning, hardest burning desire you have, you should not do it because you will fail and it's too difficult. And that's okay. Or do you think he's saying that so that people don't compete with him? Nah, at this point it doesn't matter. He's so much farther ahead. His company will never fail. I buy puts against the company. Live on the stream. Yeah, AMD's for yeah.
This is due to China's increased military pressure on Taiwan, but this isn't just for NVIDIA, but for the entire global semiconductor supply chain.
Wait, is AMD in Taiwan? No. Really?
There have been in many years, so we'll need to wait and see what happens. So there you have it, the NVIDIA story so far. It's been quite a journey, so I hope that you found it enjoyable.
It's a cool company.
Some new insights.
Probably super boring day-to-day tasks, though.
But whether this is a pivotal trend or a bubble,
It'd be kind of interesting to see what their day-to-day is like. I've always been curious what's the day-to-day like at Google's executive suites. Like, what are they talking about on a regular basis?
feel free to discuss.
AMD's in California? Oh, is it? Okay.
All right, so that's about it from me. Thanks for watching.
Oops.
My name is DeGogo, and you've been watching Cold
Bye,
Fusion.
DeGogo.
I'll see you again soon for the next
Cold Fusion's dope.
episode. Cheers, guys.
Anybody else fans of Cold Fusion? Cold Fusion's dope. I love the stuff they do. They're real journalists. Who invented artificial intelligence? Nobody knows. Santa Monica, maybe. Democracy on Trial. No. Entire open AI chaos explained. I wonder if they figured out exactly what was going on in the open AI. People stopped talking about it. What happened? So the board that kicked Sam Altman off the board. Well, let's see what Cold Fusion has to say.
AI industry for a week.
Breaking news related to OpenAI. Steve Kovac joins us now. This is a stunner in some respects, Steve. Yeah, Sam Altman is out as CEO of OpenAI. We just got this announcement.
It's a script even Hollywood would die to write. A superstar
Hollywood would die to write. I would die to write it. Oh, I'm dying. But luckily I wrote the Sam Altman open AI screenplay.
All occurring OpenAI, the same company that's behind
What a
ChatGPT.
statement. They would die to write.
CEO Sam Altman was abruptly fired from the company's board on November 17th. The news stunned everyone in the tech community.
They would
But
die to
what
write it.
followed was pure chaos. Replacement CEOs
I wrote the script
and there was an
about that tech company,
employees. If you're a keen viewer of this channel, you would know that I've covered OpenAI.
which is why I got into this
I've done a
business.
whole biography on Sam Altman's life. But for those of you who are unaware, he's the co-founder of OpenAI and a very prominent figure in the tech industry. He started a global race for AI dominance, even surpassing some of the largest companies out there. So when Sam was suddenly fired, then rumored to move over to Microsoft, and then returned, all within a matter of days, Everyone is left scratching their heads. What happened here? One of the reasons might even be AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, one of the holy grails of all of technology. So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, I wonder what happened. I wonder. It's kind of got that Garfield mouth.
Imagine that you're Sam Altman. You're in Las Vegas.
All right, I'll
enjoying
imagine
the
I'm Sam
festivities of
Altman.
a Formula One race on the weekend. You're in your
Weekend.
hotel room when you get a link, a Google Meet link. It's from your chief engineer and a board member, Ilya Sutskever. But as soon as you join the video call, you realize that something is very wrong. All the other board members are there, except for your close friend and co-founder, Greg Brockman. They tell you, in a matter of minutes, that you're fired from the company. They don't give you any
Damn,
reason,
man.
just some
I heard a lot of hostile takeovers in tech companies happen when the CEO goes on a vacation. They kicked Elon Musk as the CEO of PayPal when he was on his honeymoon, and Peter Thiel took over. And then he immediately flew back. So he got off the plane. He was informed he got voted out, and then he came back. And I don't think he ever got the CEO position back. But he got paid when they got their buyout. That's where it all came from, really.
Was not consistently candid in his communication with the board. End quote. They didn't elaborate any further, leaving everyone to wonder what really happened behind the scenes. Was it a hostile takeover?
Clearly.
Coup? How could the board
It's definitely a coup.
influential?
That's why no one's talking about it.
Part of the answer lies in OpenAI's unique corporate structure, and there are some other
Oh, yeah? They got a
things as well,
unique
but we'll
corporate
explore
structure?
that in the next part of the video.
Oh,
But let's see what
okay.
happened next. The news caused a huge uproar in the AI community and beyond.
I didn't know there was an AI
Tweeted his
community.
support for Sam and his disappointment with the board. Many people joined him, including Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. Microsoft is OpenAI's key partner and has invested $13 billion for a 49%
Yeah,
stake.
49%. That's why Microsoft is such a big company.
Had no say in the matter. They could only
I mean,
watch
that's
from
not
the
why,
sidelines.
but you know what I mean.
Inside
It's a good
OpenAI,
investment on their
there
part.
was pandemonium. Employees demanded more clarification, but the board remained tight-lipped. Meanwhile, rumors circulated that Microsoft had already extended an offer to Sam and Greg to join their ranks and establish a new AI research team. Sam's supporters were ready to jump ship, and at the same time, they were plotting his return. In
Whoa.
a surprising twist, the interim CEO, Mira Murati, had turned her back on the board and joined Team Sam over the next few days.
Wow.
With her help,
That's
Altman
nuts.
met with the board the next day to discuss his possible return.
Wow.
Into the night. And the verdict? Nah, Sam was still out. The board did not have a change of heart. That was everyone on the board, except Ilya Sutskever. In a surprising twist, the architect of Sam's dismissal himself made an unexpected U-turn.
Wow.
On Monday, he expressed regret for his participation in the board's actions and aligned himself with Sam. Talk about a role reversal.
Yeah.
By then,
Probably because he realized it wasn't going to work out.
Emmett Shear, former Twitch CEO, as the new OpenAI chief. Emmett himself was surprised and pledged to bring clarity to the situation. He was going to initiate an independent investigation to find out why his predecessor was terminated. In response to the new CEO's appointment,
Oh, it doesn't sound like we're ever going to know.
47 of 770 employees sent a scathing open letter to the board. They collectively issued an ultimatum. You resign, or we're all going to join Microsoft. In this fluid, turbulent scenario,
Wow.
the OpenAI headquarters stood deserted, devoid of anyone. There was no sign of a clear resolution on the horizon.
Oh, wow. It's probably a hostile takeover internally.
As the tech world watched, most people thought that this was going to drag on, but then suddenly, Sam Altman got his job back. On the 22nd of November, only 5 days after he was fired, OpenAI announced that they'd reached an agreement with Sam, and they had a new board too. Sam
Wow. How often does that happen? The CEO gets fired, he comes back, and the board's gone.
Greg Brockman
That is not normal.
announcing his return with a picture. Except for Adam D'Angelo, the old board members had all left. They were replaced by Brett Taylor, the former co-CEO of Salesforce, and Larry Summers, the former Treasury Secretary. Emmett Shear, who was the
Oh, wow.
CEO for just 72 hours, seemed to be happy with the outcome, judging from his tweet. So, just as abruptly as it started, the 5-day-long saga ended with Sam Altman back at the wheel. Now, the major question is, Why did the board fire their CEO in the first place? The answer is complicated and murky. There is no official explanation, only rumors and speculation so far. But, based on some reports, we can piece together some possible factors. Please keep in mind that this is just the situation at the time of writing. The board claimed that they had some disagreements with Sam about how the company was run, and also
Okay.
that Sam wasn't always truthful to them. This seems
Whoa.
like a bit of a weak reason to fire a CEO.
Yeah,
who's
CEO's
negotiating
lying?
to
That
sell
can't be that
shares to
crazy.
investors at a whopping $86 billion valuation.
Wow.
That should be a big achievement for any company.
Yeah, right.
OpenAI is not a typical company.
Right.
It's a bit different to the other tech giants out there.
Yeah, isn't it not supposed to be... It's not about profit or something?
So, I'm not going to repeat myself here. You can check out those episodes if you want to on the channel.
Which is probably a good move for OpenAI. Otherwise, the government, if they got too powerful, the government might have to get their feet involved, which is, you know, not how normal things work, but they might say this is a special situation, which would probably cause a lot of problems as well. So it's smart for them to function the way they do.
Since then, Sam Altman has been leading the firm. He established a for-profit arm that raised
It's another fucking Elon Musk company. Man, that dude does not miss. Except for when he does.
Sam Altman was in charge of the for-profit section. However, the whole firm was set up in such a way that the non-profit faction had the ultimate power, and it was controlled
cool.
by the board members.
Oh.
This odd structure left
That's not
Sam
that odd.
and Microsoft at the mercy of the board.
Oh, I see.
Corporate expansion.
Oh, interesting.
Other board members included Ilya Sutskever. We've already mentioned him quite a few times now. He is a prominent researcher in the AI field and is
Okay.
very vocal about AI safety. Then there's Adam
Okay.
D'Angelo, a former Facebook executive and co-founder of Quora. There were other notable names on the board. It would seem like there's an ethos struggle within the company. Does OpenAI go all out and try to make as much money as possible? Or do they stick to their core value of making AI that will benefit humanity?
What are we going to do here?
Sam has a knack for spotting trends, though he's been working on some other side projects that were beyond the reach of
Side
OpenAI's
projects like what?
subconscious board.
Pinewood Derby?
One project that raised some eyebrows was WorldCoin. It was a crypto venture that used eyeball scanning technology and was marketed as a potential solution
Oh, I heard
to
about that.
AI-induced job losses, a stepping stone to universal basic income.
It was basically going to
He was
give
also toying with the
everybody
idea
money.
of launching his own AI chip making venture to reduce the over-reliance on Nvidia. He reached out
Ooh.
to sovereign wealth funds in the Middle East for a potential investment in the
Oh
realm
yeah,
of
in the
tens of
Middle
billions
East,
of
that'll be
dollars.
fine.
Additionally, he pitched
No
to
problem
Silicon
here.
Valley another multi-billion-dollar investment. This time in a company he planned to start with former Apple design maestro Johnny Ive. The focus
Johnny
was on
Ive, whoa.
AI-oriented hardware. These
That guy's
projects were
awesome.
seen as distractions by some of the board members.
Man, reputation is
They
everything,
wanted
isn't
the
it?
CEO to focus on OpenAI and
No,
its
no,
launch.
it's not.
To
Oh,
escalate
okay.
matters even more, Sam found himself in conflict with Sutskever, who formed a new team in July
Kick his off.
within the company dedicated to controlling future, quote, super-intelligent AI systems. The dispute reached its boiling point in October, when, according to a source familiar with the relationship, Altman made a move to reduce Sutskever's role in the company. Fast forward to November 6th, it was the day that OpenAI hosted its first developer conference in San Francisco. Sam Altman made several announcements regarding customized versions of ChatGPT. It's going to enable users to make task-specific chatbots. These custom GPTs might operate independently in the future. That's a major red flag for safety concerns. These announcements were the last nail in the coffin. They had had enough. Sam was going too far. And for the rest of the story, we know how that all panned out.
I don't know. That doesn't seem like a good reason to fire someone.
Last reason, a possible AGI breakthrough. According to Reuters,
Right.
in
That's
addition
what
to
everyone was
concern that had
speculating.
been simmering within the company, the report suggests that some staff researchers penned an internal letter to the board cautioning about the discovery of an advanced AI with the potential to pose a threat to humanity. These researchers flagged the potential danger of this new model in their letter, but did not specify the exact safety concerns. There has been no official statement from OpenAI regarding these lessons,
Right.
but they did acknowledge a project called Q.
Because first, I need to be real with you. It is very hard to know right now what Q-Star actually is. We know from Reuters reporting that, according to their sources, it may be some kind of powerful artificial intelligence discovery at OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, and that there are fears it is sounds really dramatic, but this discovery was apparently alarming enough that at some point after a group of OpenAI researchers took their concern to the board, like, oh my God, are you all aware of what this company is working on? The CEO, Sam Altman, was fired.
Now it gets a little murky here, but some believe that this project could be the highly anticipated AGI, or Artificial General Intelligence, which is capable of outperforming humans in any economically viable task.
The day will come when the digital brains that live inside our computers will become as good and even better than our own biological brains. We call
Sure.
such an AI an AGI, Artificial General Intelligence.
It was a step towards artificial general intelligence. I know it sounds complicated.
Well, I think
but
that
simply put, artificial intelligence
Meta is
more powerful than
dedicated
humans.
to
Now,
AGI,
OpenAI staffers believe that this could
which is
threaten
funny
the
because that means that they're
Some of them
kind of
wrote a letter to the board.
not
This
focusing
could also be
on
the reason
the
for
metaverse,
firing of Sam Altman.
which is kind of interesting. I
My
wonder if
personal opinion,
Mark
I would be
Zuckerberg's going
shocked
through a
to see
midlife
this. I would
crisis.
think something like this would be at least 5 years away, but who knows what's going on behind the scenes.
I mean, he's had a lot of
Anyway,
victories.
Just over a week ago, Altman hinted at a
Very few
significant
failures.
breakthrough
He
during
tried to
a summit
launch
in
his
San
own money,
Francisco.
like
Was he
Facebook
alluding
money.
to this discovery?
I don't remember what it was called,
No one knows for sure.
but the government was like,
With generative
bro,
AI
we're
for
not going to let you
education
have your own
for
money.
people, there's bound to be more
You're going to have to
junk
use
emails with the same
USD.
goals. It doesn't bode well for online security. And this isn't to mention data brokers. Right now, your personal information is being sold online without you even knowing it. This information can be used to send unsolicited content, sell your browsing habits, and even commit identity theft. If there was only a way to stop this from happening. This is where today's sponsor, Incognito.
In conclusion,
All in all, in the end, it appears that Microsoft and Sam Altman are the biggest winners in this whole debacle.
absolutely.
Altman will continue to lead the company, now with a board that is, in theory, more supportive of his vision. Is this going to be good or bad for the rest of us? We'll have to wait and see. Satya Nadella has also voiced his support. However, the power tussle and internal drama don't exactly bode well. OpenAI is the company that started the generative AI revolution. They're supposed to set the standards while this industry is in its infancy. AI can be a dangerous tool if used wrongly, so governments and policymakers are watching this. It's not the kind of spectacle that you want onlookers to see.
Sure, for
people
sure.
like us, it's just another episode of drama, a tad amusing and a smidge terrifying.
Right.
I say terrifying because, in Ilias Sutskever's regret tweet, Elon Musk replied this, quote, "Why did you take such a drastic action? If OpenAI is doing something potentially dangerous to humanity, the world needs to know." And that's kind of true. If OpenAI has
No, I don't know if that's true. He's just basically trying to get the deets. The public needs to know. Like, yeah, right. Come on. That's what he was thinking.
I'll also leave the biography of Sam
He's
Altman
just trying to get
in the description and at the
information.
end of this video.
Because he did an interview right after all this happened, and he was like, I don't know. And they were like, do you know what's going on? He's like, I don't know.
And I'll catch you again soon for the next episode.
All right.
Cheers, guys.
You there, McGruff? Let's save this. All right, y'all. I made up for last night. And
This video is brought to you
look forward to more long streams. McGruff, if you want to meet me in the Conformity Farm general chat. But anyway, yeah. Did a drawing today. Expect me to do a lot more drawings in the future, doing much longer hours for the next 2 months until this book is done. So thanks for coming along for the journey. And